Before the roads learned our footsteps, before money learned our names, there was a truth our ancestors guarded. A man's worth is not tested by what he owns, but by how he treats those who own nothing. Low drums, distant wind, fade in. In the heart of the red earth plains, where palm trees bent like old men listening to secrets, there stood a land called Umuala. Umuala was not ruled by a king, it was ruled by commerce. Markets were its heartbeat, roads were its veins. Trade was its language. From dawn until moonrise, voices clashed, cowries clinked, and bargains were struck beneath open skies. And above all of it reigned one name, Chief Okechi Maduka. His name was spoken before negotiations, whispered during disputes, invoked when fortunes rose or fell. If a trader prospered, Okechi's shadow stood behind him. If a trader failed, Okechi's seal had turned away. His emblem, a carved leopard with bared teeth, hung over warehouses, market stalls, and toll gates across 7 villages. Children learned the leopard before they learned numbers. To many, Okechi was not a man. He was a force. Chief Okechi lived within high walls of red clay and carved wood. His compound stretched wide, guarded by men whose spears never slept. He wore coral beads thick as river ropes. His robes were dyed with colors imported from lands beyond the horizon. When he walked, servants cleared paths, as if the earth itself must step aside. At night, praise singers filled his courtyard. Lion of wealth, owner of markets, hand that feeds nations. Gold plates reflected firelight. Palm wine flowed like rivers. Yet when the music died, when footsteps faded, when silence finally entered, Chief Okechi felt empty. Not poor, not afraid, just uneasy. They came quietly at first, a messenger kneeling too long before speaking, a trader hesitating before praise, an elder clearing his throat carefully. Great one, they would say, your markets grow harsh. Your gods no longer listen. Your clocks insult the poor. Okechi waved them away. The poor complain when fortune avoids them. He said, fear always looks for a face. But the reports multiplied. Widows chased from stalls, travelers beaten over accusations, hungry men mocked instead of helped. Still, profits rose, and that troubled him more than loss ever could. One evening, as Okechi sat counting trade tallies, a young servant approached, barely more than a boy. The boy hesitated. Speak, Okechi commanded. The boy swallowed. Master, people fear your name. Okechi looked up. Fear? He repeated. They respect it. The boy lowered his eyes. They bow, he said softly, but they do not smile. Silence fell heavy. Okechi dismissed him without anger. But the words followed him into the night like footsteps behind a traveler. Before dawn, Okechi rose alone. He entered the ancestral shrine, a quiet space where carved faces watched generations rise and fall. He knelt. Fathers, he whispered, if my wealth has blinded me, remove the veil. The oil lamp flickered. Outside, a rooster cried, not in warning, but in witness. And in that moment, Chief Okichi made a decision that would tear his life in two. He dismissed his guards. He sent servants away. He removed his coral beads one by one, gold cloth authority folded and hidden beneath the floor of his inner chamber. Then he did the unthinkable. He dressed in rags, ash touched his beard, dust kissed his skin. His feet met the earth without protection for the first time since boyhood. He took a walking stick, not carved with power, but worn with need. When he stepped outside his gates, gods laughed. Move aside, O man. They did not recognize him. The leopard had become dust. Okechi walked the road into Umuala. People brushed past him. No greetings, no bows, no fear, only indifference. He reached Nkwo market, his pride, his jewel. The leopard seal shone above the largest shop. Inside, clerks laughed loudly, counting cowries. Okechi entered quietly. My children, he said gently, I beg for a small measure of gari. I will pay what I can. The laughter stopped. A clerk looked him up and down. Old man, he sneered, this place is not a shrine. Another spat beside his foot. Leave before you stain the floor. Okechi tried again. A guard shoved him. He fell. The dust welcomed him like an old friend. As he lay there, people stepped around him. Some laughed, some stared, most walked on. No one helped. The leopard seal above the shop watched in silence, and for the first time in his life, Chief Okechi felt ashamed of his own name. Thirst burned his throat as he crawled away. At the market's edge sat a widow with a clay pot. A thin child slept on her back. Mother, Okechi croaked. May I drink? She studied him, then smiled. Water refuses no one. She handed him the cleanest cup. As he drank, she spoke softly. I once worked in Okechi's shop when my husband died. They said grief slowed my hands. Okechi froze. She did not know who he was. The water tasted like judgment. That night, Okechi slept beneath a broken store. Cold pierced his bones, hunger clawed his belly, rats scurried, drunks laughed nearby. And above him, the same stars that once watched him feast now watched him suffer. So this, he whispered, is my empire. At dawn, he rose and walked to Afo market. Here, cruelty ruled openly. Scales cheated, voices barked. Guards watched like vultures. Okechi questioned a dishonest scale. That was enough. Guards descended, blows rained, pain exploded. The crowd gathered but did nothing until a voice cut through the noise. Stop! She stepped forward. Chinwe, a shopkeeper from Nkwo market, poor, plain, unafraid. Have you no shame? She shouted. He is old. The guards hesitated. Chinwe placed herself between them and Okechi. If mercy has left this market, she said, let it rest on me. For the first time since removing his wealth, Okechi felt something other than pain. Chinwe took him to her small shop. She cleaned his wounds. She fed him. She asked nothing. Customers watched. Word spread. Honesty returned like rain after drought. And Okechi, still hidden, watched the goodness he had forgotten how to grow. When a man chooses to see the truth will first break him. But it does not break him forever.